Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad to have you, and today we are going to be going over my Q1 reading stats. So get ready for a lot of graphs, a lot of information, and kind of like my top of the quarter so far. It is the beginning of April. We're going to be going over the months of January, February, and March. And I'm really excited because I'm a stats girl and I love stats. So I just kind of want to go over my general reading journey so far this year. All right, make sure you stay tuned for the end of the video because I'm going to go over like my favorite and my least favorites so far of the year. But so far for the year, I have read 31 books, and kind of breaking it down by month, which I'll do here. In January, I read 12 books, in February, I read 8, and in March, I read 11. So I think that February was a little bit of a slower month for me. I kind of was in a reading slump in February, not gonna lie. But again, I recognize that that's a lot of books, so like totally understand that. But it is curious to see kind of how the breakdown goes throughout the year so far. When we're talking about genres, by far, fantasy is my top genre of the year. 11 of the books that I've read are fantasy. Next genre is kind of surprising to me. Manga. I've read 5 from the manga genre. I've read 4 horror novels, 4 mysteries, 2 nonfiction, 1 historical fiction, 1 sci-fi, 1 contemporary, 1 nonfiction, and 1 thriller. So I've read I feel like a widespread of genre, but majority of it has been fantasy. Another thing that I like to kind of track the format of is the way that I'm reading the book. So audio, physical, ebook, or tandem. When I say tandem, normally that's going to mean like I read some of the physical book and I listened to some of the audiobook. So in this instance, so far this year, I have listened to 16 audiobooks, 9 physical books, 4 ebooks, and 2 in tandem of some sort. So I think that's pretty good. Normally, I'm way more on audiobook than I am physical, but it's about half and half, I would say. So that's pretty cool, or a little bit less. So again, all this will be on the screen for you. As far as the breakdown as information from the authors, so majority of the authors I've read from have been female. So 18 of the authors, and this does factor in repeats as well. So, or it does not factor in repeats. I'm sorry. I did this last year and forgot to like not put an author down twice if I read them twice, so that does not include this here. There are a couple authors that I've read the most from this year, and I'll put that on the screen, like the most read. 18 of the authors that I've read from are female, 8 are male, and I haven't read from any non-binary authors yet this year, but I do plan to. This is one thing I find interesting. So publication, majority of all of the books that I have read have published after the year 2000, so I haven't read any older books this year. I do want to change that for sure, but 3 books in the 2000s, 12 in the 2010s, 14 in the 2020s, and I've only read 2 new releases so far this year, so only 2 books that have came out this year. My star rating, let's break that one down. Majority of the ratings that I've given out this year have been 4 stars, which I think is great. I have a love-hate relationship with star ratings because I think it's hard to just say something is a star rating because it's so subjective to so many different people, like what they would consider a 3 or a 4. I usually just say, did I like it? Did I love it? Or did I not like it? Or did I DNF it? So that's kind of usually the rating range that I go for. But also, I like to just look at it as it is as well. So if I had to pick 4, majority of it's been 4. I've given out 2 2s, 0 1 stars, which is great. 9 3 stars, and 6 5 stars. So that's pretty good. I've had 3 5-star reads from every single month if you do look at it that way. One unfortunate thing that I do want to change is a majority of the books I've read have not been from my backlog. I definitely need to read more from my backlog. 3 have been from the backlog of previous years. 3 I purchased this year and read this year, and that honestly just comes down to the book club that we do. I had to buy those books, or I don't necessarily have to buy those books. Oh, also, by the way, this is just like physical. Like I'm only talking about physical books. So I read 9 physical books. So this is the breakdown for those 9 that I have. So I like to read a physical copy of the book club books that we do so that I can keep it and have it for our end of year thing and have it annotated. So 3 from the backlog, 3 purchased this year, 1 I borrowed that I read, and then 4 rereads, which I think is pretty impressive. One of my goals was to reread more books this year. So let's talk more in depth, shall we? What my favorites have been, all of my 5 stars so far this year. Now 2 of my 5 stars that I have read this year are, I don't know if that really counts. I mean, it does count, but you know what I mean. So they were rereads. I reread House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Bread. Before I read House of Flame and Shadow, which all 3 are 5 stars. I'm a big Sarah J Maas fan, as you guys know. So I reread those first 2 on audiobook at the beginning of the year to prep myself for House of Flame and Shadow. So that's 3 of our 5 stars. So some new additions to the 5-star list are Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. That is exciting for me because it's like my first 5-star sci-fi read, so that's really cool. And then I also gave Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar 5 stars, so that's from this most recent month. That's a memoir. Okay, and then I gave Twilight 5 stars technically, so I guess it's not really fair because 3 of the 6 5 stars that I've given out are books that I have already read. So if you're looking purely at new 5-star reads, I only have 3, which I think that's good though, because that's 1 from each month. So that's good. I'm happy with that. So those are kind of my favorites so far from the year. Some honorable mentions that I've rated 4 stars that are pretty high would be, I've still been reading the Zodiac Academy books. And so I read Shadow Princess, which is the 4th one. I'm actually currently reading the 5th one with my friend Katie by Carolyn Peckham, and I forget the other author's name. But that one was really good. I didn't read that 5, but I read that 4, so it's pretty high up there for me. That's like a magic school. There's all these different kinds of creatures. Definitely on the spicier side, but I really enjoy them. Other book that I would consider in my top so far is Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Tours. That also was like 4.5 almost. This is a really cool one that has to do with magical books. I talk about that more in depth in a different video, but magical books, and you're following these 2 sisters, one who has taken a totally different path and she can kind of write the magical books, and then the other one who isn't magical. It's kind of living a more normal life, and it's a very much an epic like adventure journey thing that's really, really good. So that one's pretty high up there. I don't remember what exactly kept it from being 5 stars. I think that some of the content wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I thought it was great. Vibes unmatched. And then of course, To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monica Blackgoose. That is something that I described in my most recent TikTok video as like indigenous Fourth Wing, but better, because I didn't love Fourth Wing. But this one's really cool. It's a magical dragon school. You were following an indigenous girl, Anakus, I believe is how you pronounce her name, and her dragon, and she gets sent to this school ran by colonizers and has to adjust to life in that. So she deals with a lot of racism and classism and all that kind of stuff. So definitely really good. Was almost one of my top, but there's a couple things missing from it. Like I didn't feel super connected to the characters, but those are kind of the group of my favorites so far this year. As far as my least favorites, I've only rated 2 books 2 stars. And one of those is Caraval by Stephanie Gerber. I did not have a good time with that one. I kind of dive more into that in my TikTok video, so if you wanted to see that. And then the other one is a manga that I tried out, Chainsaw Man. I did not like the first one. I didn't get it, but I know a lot of people really enjoy the anime, so I get it if you do, but also I don't get it because I don't like it. As far as authors I've read the most from this year, one is definitely Hajime Isayama. That's because he writes the Attack on Titan books, and I've been reading those a lot this year. I've read it from him 3 times, I think. I've read 2 from Christopher Poloni because we're rereading the Inheritance Cycle books. And of course I read 3 from Sarah J Maas because I was catching back up on the Crescent City series. There's definitely some authors I have an eye on. I have a lot of plans for things I want to read that maybe I need help convincing. So I'm finishing, as far as like future plans, let's talk about that. So that's kind of wrapping up my Q1 stats. As far as what I want to accomplish for the rest of the year, I am listening to the second to last Robin Hobb book, Fool's Quest, I believe is what it's called. I only have 2 left, and I'm really sad because I love this series, and so I don't want it to end, but I only have 2 left, so I need to fully complete the Realm of the Elderlings universe by Robin Hobb. Several different series. I've talked about this before on my channel. It's absolutely awesome. One of my other goals is to get through more of my book of the month books because I have a lot on my TBR, and I really enjoy majority of the time when I have a book of the month book that I'm reading, I am enjoying it. So why not read more of those? I do want to try to start the Stormlight Archives this year as well. Brandon Sanderson is the one that's been on my TBR for a while, and I have only read one book by him, Warbreaker, and I know he's a very popular fantasy author and very well recommended by a lot of my friends. So I definitely want to get to that. I want to read a couple of classics. One, The Picture of Dorian Gray, has been on my TBR for a while, and so I want to give that one a try. Overall, I want to read more contemporary or literary fiction as well this year. So those are just kind of some of the genres on my TBR. And I want to read more books that I've been gifted. So I want to prioritize those books because somebody spent time and effort on getting me the book, so I want to make sure to have those higher up on my TBR. So that's kind of all my plans for the rest of the year. My favorite books so far, my least favorite books so far. Overall, just stats if you enjoy that. I can't really think of anything else that I would add. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys are having a good reading year so far. I would love if you would comment down below your favorite book so far you've read. If I had to pick my top favorite so far, it would definitely be House of Flame and Shadow. I can't help but it's just my baby. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.